And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 305 Takes. As you guys can see, Miles is not here at the moment. Miles is just setting up right now. He was taking care of a personal matter. So right now he is getting set up in his area. So he will join us very shortly. So don't worry, guys. We do have a great episode for you today because we had to really plan this one. There's not really that many good games for the week. If any of you check the schedule, you'll know. But for those who didn't, I will talk about that a little bit later. But before we get started with our show, we want to talk about our sponsor, E2G Sports, who has helped 305 Takes not only transform this podcast from Spotify and Apple Podcasts now to E2G.com. So if you guys go to E2G Sports, if you look it up, there is a website called the E2G Sports Network. And over there, you can get all your latest sports news on basketball, football, baseball, and it goes on for as much as you can possibly can. You can even look up our podcast there, E2G Sports. You can see all of our podcasts there, especially other podcasts like First Information, One Patriots Place, Hey Yo Foxborough. Yes, a lot of them are Boston oriented podcasts, but there are 5 takes for Miami. So we hope everyone can enjoy our show. So we're going to be talking about Dolphins Bears preview. We're also going to be talking about which NFL rookies have caught our eyes so far in terms of the whole year, some of the best bets of the weekend. And then we are going to give you guys a little update of our fantasy football league. So while Miles is coming to get set up now, I'm going to talk to you guys about some of my best bets of the weekend. So some of my best bets are actually going to be in college football. Yes, not the pros. And I will tell you that reason why right now. So the slate of games for this week, they're not particularly the best. So you have one game. Here are some of the games at 1 o'clock. Chargers, Falcons. I don't think that's a good game. Dolphins, Bears. We'll talk about that one a little later. I feel like there's a clear winner in that one. That's just me. Panthers, Bengals. I don't like that one either. Then we have Packers, Lions. Colts, Patriots. Not even interested. Bills, Jets. Record-wise, it is a good game, but I think we all know that, I'm pretty sure the Bills are going to win. It's nothing against the Jets. I just do not think Zach Wilson has taken that next step in order to really compete with the Bills. He has a very talented roster behind him, but compared to the Bills and where Josh Allen is at right now in his career, I do not think Zach Wilson and the Jets will put up that much of a fight. Then we have Vikings, Commanders. I really don't like that one either. Raiders, Jaguars. Not really a fan of that one either. This one is not bad. Seahawks, Cardinals. That one could be definitely something there. And guys, right now I'm going to add in.
What's up, everybody?
I'm just telling everyone now the slate games we have for the NFL weekend, and which is why I don't have any bets placed on there. I'm just going strictly to college, and I'm still reading games. Guys, for 4 o'clock, you have Rams, Bucks. I personally, it's the only 4:30 game, and I'm going to be honest. There's a very good chance I'm not going to watch it. There's a very good chance I'm not going to watch it.
The thing is, you just don't have another option. There's only 2 4 o'clock games. It's ridiculous.
And then we have the 8:30 game, which record-wise, it shows it's not bad, but I don't expect it to be that close. It's going to be Titans versus Chiefs. And Ryan Tannehill most likely is not going to play, so I don't expect the Titans to put up that much of a fight with Malik Willis at quarterback because he hasn't given the Titans a reason to start him over Ryan Tannehill yet. So I'm not going to say too much about that. And then Monday is a solid game, but it's Ravens Saints. So that's why I have my best bets in college football. And this one, it's strictly money line. I'm not looking to bet over or the point spread. I'm going to say Tennessee and Georgia. I think Tennessee can very much win this game. I believe
it should be a cool game too. And Tennessee's super fun to watch offensively. They will line people up on the hash mark for the out of bounds line. They want to spread you out. Yeah.
unbelievable. And don't get me wrong, Georgia's defense is good, but to me, they're not as dominant as they were last year. So I believe one of the best bets this weekend is money line 10 University of Tennessee over Georgia. And guys, Tennessee's ranked number 1, but they're the underdogs.
Yeah, I mean it's just because Georgia's coming off the national championship,
Yeah,
and they lost a linebacker that was a starter for them last year, and obviously a starter for them this year. So it's going to be a test for Georgia, and as good as the defense is, I just think that Tennessee has the firepower and the speed to be able to still put up points. And my question would be, can Stetson Bennett and that Georgia offense match? Because
yeah,
we've seen them struggle earlier this year. I think it was South Carolina State that they struggled in, and they were like 35-point favorite. 35-point favorites in that game. And I think they only scored 35 points in the game. But the surprising thing is that South Carolina State could actually move the ball
yeah.
on them a little bit. And
They
I
came
believe they got to 2
close.
touchdowns. Yeah. And I will be at University of Miami versus FSU, the night game. A little rivalry action, getting that in tomorrow. Should be a good game, even though I don't expect too much from the Miami Hurricanes, especially after only mustering 14 points in last week's game, in a game that went to 4 overtimes. Once again, that is 14 points in a game that went to 4 overtimes. So
Yeah,
we'll see. And usually with that game and like rivalry games in college, you can kind of throw out the records because you know that the players are going to be pretty hyped up just to be out there and share the field with some of the guys, especially in this type of rivalry where a lot of these guys went to the same high school or played against each other growing up. So it'll definitely be a fun game. Hopefully the Hurricanes don't embarrass themselves. So I'll be out there rooting for the Hurricanes. The one bet that I do like for the NFL, I just liked it because I was going to do it as a teaser. I was thinking about putting the Jaguars and the Seahawks in a teaser. I was honestly trying to get it at 7.5. One of the books I have has them both as 2 point 2 point underdogs going into the game. So I got it up to 8+8 for both. So if they just don't lose by more than a touchdown, we should be able
yeah,
to cover both of them. And I think I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on Bills minus 11.5, just because I think the Bills are going to be able to get a lot of pressure on Zach Wilson. And
yeah,
as we've seen, the guy likes to turn the ball over.
yeah. No, I
So if
said
you're
that.
going to give Josh Allen's offense some more opportunities to score, I'll lay the 11.5.
Yeah, no, I said that. I believe the Jets have, and overall, they have a good roster. I just think where Zach Wilson is at right now in his career is not good enough to beat the Bills. Whereas where Josh Allen is and the roster he has around him, I believe they should mop the floor with the Jets. It's nothing against the Jets. I feel like they have a good team for the future. I think they can
Yeah,
be a competitive team for at least like the next 4 years.
yeah,
I
and I'm excited to see that first matchup of Stephon versus Sauce Gardner, because
yeah,
Sauce has been locking people up
he's been great.
throughout this year. But the Bills, they know that Stephon Diggs is kind of the thing that unlocks their offense, and they use a lot of creative ways to get him open. And he's not just going to stay on one side of the field or just in one position. They'll move him to the slot. We've seen him in the backfield a couple times as well. So it would be I like that matchup, but personally, I don't expect the game to be close in that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. And then my last best bet for the weekend, I do like the spread in the Alabama LSU game. It's nothing against LSU. I just love Alabama's offense way more than I like LSU's defense. That's just my
I
personal beef with them.
I just I am always down to fade Brian Kelly. That's always going to be something that I'm down to fade, because we saw in that FSU game, the first game of the season, that some things are just meant to be, and sometimes the guy, it just looks like he should lose that game, and I don't think he's got the coaching ability to coach his way against Nick Saban.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think so. I mean, it should be. I I think Alabama should win by 20. That's just my personal belief on it. But the spread right now is at 13 and a half. So if anyone, I feel like maybe if you can get something of a quality bet in there, I say try to do it before tomorrow, because that one is a late o'clock. I believe what time that game should start at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you could probably get a good bet in by like 5 o'clock, I say do it. But those are really only the best bets I have, because guys, I read out the schedule before, like right as soon as Miles was joining us. It's just simply not good enough for me to place any
Yeah,
money. I
yeah, and we
don't think
talked
any
about
of
it. We talked about it earlier in the week too. It seems like the NFL is really anticipating this Rams Bucks game to be like the talking point for the week and the hype matchup. That's that's why it seems like there's only two 4 o'clock games because they want all eyeballs or as many as possible on that Bucks Rams game.
Yep.
And I don't even know what to expect in that one. I mean, Rams traveling all the way across the country, and I mean, it's not like they're good, and now they actually have Cooper Cup kind of banged up, so it'll be interesting to see how that one goes.
Yeah, it's definitely something I would like to not watch, but it is what it is with that. So, uh, I will say I wish there could be some different things, different games going on at the same time. But hey, I'm not too mad about it because one, it's still the NFL. I'm not gonna be too mad about it on what they're giving us right now. So with that, I believe we can just go on to our next topic here. So before Miles comes back with us, we're gonna preview Dolphins versus Bears. And this is a game that I'm going to be honest, I believe this is a very one sided matchup. It should be very one
Yeah, it should
sided.
be.
It should be. I, I'm expecting the Miami Dolphins to go in there and mop the floor with the Bears. And if they don't, I'm just going to be shocked because I go, the Bears literally showed us they traded Robert Quinn. Note he wasn't having the best year, so let that be whatever you want. Roquan Smith, who is
Yeah.
like in top 5 in tackles in the NFL, traded. And really the only addition they got is Chase Claypool. And don't get me wrong, Chase Claypool, I think he's a solid receiver, but if you ask me if he's a one, I'm gonna say no. So
Yeah, I don't think he can be your number one. But the only thing that kind of concerns me, well, there's a couple things that concern me about the game. The fact that Justin Fields has starting to change some opinions out there, and I mean, for as limited as the offense looks, because he has the ability to actually take advantage of open field opportunities in front of him, they've been more competitive in games than I anticipated, honestly. Because going into the season, I was like, this is the worst skill group that we have, and honestly, Khalil Herbert's come on for them a little bit, and we knew that they wanted to lean on the running game, and the Dolphins have been susceptible on defense. Mostly it's through the pass, but I'm also concerned with this Dolphins injury report. Listen to just some of the names on this injury report: Jalen Waddle, shoulder; Christian Wilkins, hand; Jerome Baker, hip; Javon Holland, wrist; Emmanuel Ogba, back; Eric Rowe, hip; Teron Armstead, toe. So I'm like, Rokon Davis, knee. That's a big injury report, and I know some of that is just based off of being limited in practice, not actually like missing practice. So I think some of those guys will play. I know Wilkins, Waddle, and Holland look like they're on track to play. And Armstead's been on the injury report for a little bit now with that toe injury, and he's been able to gut it out ever since that Jets game. But I do think I'm interested on the Dolphins' perspective of just seeing if the new additions with Bradley Chubb and Jeff Wilson Jr. added to the mix. I don't. I was gonna say I don't expect them to kind of have an impact, but I mean you can put Chubb in on like obvious passing downs just so you
yeah,
can go full speed ahead and try to get after the quarterback, but. I was going to say, I think Wilson could actually have an impact on the game just because he's familiar with the system. It's not like he has to learn a new offense. And
yeah,
I don't know how much has changed as far as McDaniel put in his own imprint on the offense as far as like audibles and stuff. But I mean, I'm sure after a couple meetings with running backs coaches and,
yeah.
actually being around the team, that shouldn't be too much of an I But I was pretty fascinated. The Dolphins actually went out there and made some additions to the roster, and it seems like they're all in on the season. And when you're all in, like you should, when you're all in and you make moves at the deadline that put you in position to at least make a playoff run,
Yeah.
then you have to take care of these games like the Chicago Bears last week or this week and the Detroit Lions last week. And they were able to put away the Lions in the second half. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit like the Lions game last week where the Bears are able to find some success early and then hopefully the Dolphins go back to the locker room and, make some adjustments. But It's just that you look at that Bears offense and you're like, how are they even score points? Like, how
That's a
is it
good
even
question.
possible? Like, how is it even possible? Uh, they average 1.5 turnovers per game. 1.5 turnovers per game. But this is the thing. This is the thing. The Dolphins' rushing yards allowed per game is 100, which is sixth best in the NFL.
Yeah.
And the Bears so far have given up or are 188 rushing yards per game, which is first in the NFL. So it will be kind of a battle of like who can pick on each other's weakness because the Bears the Bears passing offense is only giving up 188, which is fifth in the NFL, but their rush defense gives up 156, which is 31st out of 32 teams. And
Yeah.
it would be nice if Mostert could go off, and if you get a Jeff Wilson game already in his first action with the Fins.
Yeah. I do think Jeff Wilson could make an impact just because the offense is similar to what he ran in San Francisco. The only thing now is just the Dolphins are more pass friendly than the 49ers, considering what we could say the skills position of the Dolphins is much, much better than the 49ers. Because with comparison, you have Debo, Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill gets the nod. Jalen Waddle, Brandon Ayuk. I think Jalen Waddle gets that nod. Kittle and Gesicki, Kittle gets the advantage every day. And then that's where I feel like, okay, they know obviously the one factor you can't coach in football is speed. And we've
And
seen
they
it
have
work
it
for the
everywhere.
Dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah, they have it everywhere. And I mean,
That's why I
and
feel
the
like
thing,
Jeff Wilson could make an impact early. I don't think it's going to be that big, but I feel like it will get progressively
yeah,
better throughout the weeks.
yeah, I think it'll start off with like a couple packages where it's designed to get him the ball, or trying to get him going on those zone rushing concepts that they love to run in that offense. But I wouldn't be surprised if they at least give a shot or a couple of plays to both Gaskin and Ahmed. I'll be interested to see who's active in that game, just because Edmonds clearly didn't work out, and I found it pretty fascinating that they straight up just traded him too. So,
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that they kept both Ahmed and Gaskin on the roster and didn't let them get away. So I think that the coaching staff does see potential with them, especially in this offense. I just don't know. If they have more than one game to really capitalize on the chance that they might get.
It's definitely going to be something to watch for with this Dolphins Bears matchup. But I mean, hey, we got to talk about maybe on it was Tuesday, the NFL trade deadline, and Miami made moves. They, like you said, they got Jeff Wilson. They went and got Bradley Chubb. Now, I don't know how many draft picks Miami has left. I don't know how many because I don't know how many compensatory picks they got for maybe staff changing or other trades where they just got picks in return later on. But is this I will say this: if they don't make it to the AFC Championship game, would you consider this a failure?
I mean, I can't consider it a failure if they don't make it to the AFC Championship game, just because I'm a scarred Dolphins fan and I just want to see a playoff victory. Like, let me get that, and then we can go from there. Because as a Dolphins fan, it's just been the last time we made the playoffs. It was the year Jay Cutler was the quarterback. He got injured. Matt Moore came in relief, almost got his head taken off. So it was a very weird game. Antonio Brown had that touchdown where I was stepped out of bounds. So I think playoffs is a must. Based on the trades, playoffs is a must. You no longer have a first-round pick this year after having to forfeit one due to the tampering investigation with both Brady and Sean Payton, and then you trade away the other one that you had via San Francisco this year to get Bradley Chubb, which I actually think is a good move, and especially when you can sign him before it even has to get to free agency and you have to bid against other teams. So I don't hate the moves at all. AFC Championship game is a little bit tough because I just don't know if this defense is as quality as it was the last 2 years when we had the opportunity to be in the playoffs. So, and that's the thing that I don't want to lose sight on, is that they had opportunities to make the playoffs the last 2 years going into the last week. So if they can just actually get themselves into the playoffs, I mean, we saw the Cincinnati Bengals, who absolutely no one thought they had the lowest odds to win the AFC, not even to go to the Super Bowl. They had the lowest odds of the AFC teams to win the conference, and they made a run. I'm not exactly expecting that. Would I be absolutely shocked? I think I would have been more shocked if you told me the Bengals would be the AFC representative than if you told me the Dolphins would be the AFC representative this year. Just comparing last year to this year.
That's fair.
Just
For
because
me,
that offensive line was so terrible going into the playoffs.
yeah,
I'm like, come on, how are you going to win playoff games when you can't protect the quarterback?
exactly. That was always my biggest pet peeve with them last year. But for me, I don't think Miami needs to win it all this year. But what I need to see from Miami, I need to see how this cap situation goes past this year because you bring in Bradley Chubb and you sign him to an extension. So good, you locked him up. You traded your only first round pick this year. No, it wasn't yours to begin with. You got it from that trade when the 49ers moved up to get Trey Lance, but you got Bradley Chubb now. You paid him. You got Tyreek Hill in the offseason. You paid him. Now, the only contract that's really important now they need to lock up is Tua if they decide to keep him. And if Tua is going to get paid, I want to know how much he's going to get because I know the salary cap goes up every year. I don't know how much it's going to go up this year, but I need to see how this goes because there's other guys on the team I believe that need to get paid. I know Jalen Waddle, Holland, a couple of other players. They won't need to get paid until probably next offseason. So at least that helps Miami in that part. But no, there's other parts of the team I feel like that really need to improve. I don't like the linebacker situation. Secondary wise, I feel like that has to be addressed in the offseason, considering Xavier Howard is good. Byron Jones missed this year.
Well, that will
And
help with the cap because if he's not going to play, you would have to assume that he's not going to be on the roster next year.
yeah,
And as of right now, his cap hit for next year is already at 18.8.
yeah,
So like that's a big number that either it gets off the books or and then you have that money available to go ahead and spend on a replacement or
yeah.
if you need to use to re-sign somebody that you mentioned. So
Mm.
it is going to be interesting because
I don't even know what type of contract Tua will get. I don't know if it'll be like a long term, like a 6 year, or maybe it's a short year contract, like maybe Kirk Cousins when he got with the Vikings, like a 3 year contract for maybe 90 million or 85 million. I feel like maybe that's something Tua might get, considering the money wise. I feel like that's how Miami can really, move around bits and parts. But I need to me, if Miami does not get far in the playoffs in the next 3 years, I would consider this a failure.
Yeah, yeah. If you give it a timeline like that, especially because I still want to give McDaniel like time to make errors because
Yeah.
we really haven't seen him like have to make like in-game adjustments
Yeah.
to be able to win games that you absolutely need to win. Yeah, it was cool to see the comeback against the Ravens. No one expected it, and it was cool to start building that chemistry and see the team start the way they did. And they faced adversity with having to go yo-yo back and forth between the quarterbacks, whether it's the second string, whether it's the third string guy with Teddy and Skyler. So it is cool that they've been able to handle that adversity. And as he starts to get further out and get more control of the team and run the team the way he wants to, I think that's definitely reasonable expectations. And if because I was still worried about the offensive line, and I'm still not the biggest fan of the offensive line, but it hasn't really come back to bite them in a way that's like
So far
tangible,
this
where you're
year.
like, yeah. And Tua's been able to put up numbers behind this offensive line that I still have question marks about. So if you can keep improving on that, and even if it's with lower paid guys like Connor Williams that they brought in from Dallas to play center, then you really start to cook with something. And it's just that delicate balance because once you get the quarterback on the rookie deal, that's when you kind of have to start taking advantage because that's when he's cheap before the money starts kicking in, and that's the same thing that happened with the Chiefs. Mahomes got the contract, and unfortunately Tyreek Hill had to go, and they had to figure out ways to build a roster.
But now his contract extension looks so team friendly because of the way how they structured it. But the only
Yeah,
thing now you have
and
to
they
look
got in
at.
early.
Yep. Now we have to look at Deshaun Watson's contract. That's going to be taking a. I feel like Cleveland's roster is going to take a big downfall in the next couple of years.
I mean, their defense already, and we can name like actual legit players that we would say are stars, and they're giving up a bunch of points over there.
Yep. And Baltimore, as I love Lamar, but I know once he gets his contract, if Baltimore pays him, Baltimore is going to have a big decrease in terms of talent on their roster. Buffalo, eventually it's going to come because Josh Allen, I don't know exactly when his contract extension starts. I don't know if it's this year or next year,
I believe
but
next.
Yeah, probably Nets where he's going to get a lot of money. And we've seen when quarterbacks get these big contracts, the talent on the roster really dips.
I mean,
And
the
biggest
biggest case in,
example, Rodgers.
I was going to say Seattle.
Oh, well, Seattle
Seattle,
too.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
when
I mean,
Wilson got
outside,
paid.
yeah, once Wilson got paid, there went the Legion of Boom.
Yep. And then we
Yeah,
just
but
get,
Rodgers is a good point too.
yeah,
Yeah, because there goes Devontae right there, boom,
they
and
have
basically there goes
nothing.
all your explosiveness on offense.
Yep.
So, and especially with the Dolphins, because I mean, I wouldn't mind marrying Tua and Jalen Waddle at this point. Like, just ride them out for as long as their NFL career can take it.
Yeah. The only thing now, that's what I said. I want to see how this contract looks with Tua because Bradley Chubb, he's going to get close to 24 million a year. Now, from what I calculated, it was like 23.8. So I'm going to just round it to 24. So I'm like, all right, 24 million for him. Tyreek Hill is already 30. So that's 54 million you already have tagged on your books just on
Yeah.
two players. Now, if you add Tua's contract, if Tua supposedly gets 3 years, 90 million, that's another 30 million you have. How much money genuinely do you have left to get talent on any player that might have expiring contracts? It could probably ruin your depth.
Yeah,
And if you don't
definitely.
have those draft picks, that really hurts your depth because now we've seen the Rams with the F them pick strategy.
Yeah.
That's going down the drain. The 49ers, I feel like it's going to happen to the 49ers next year.
Yeah, I think the 49ers are playing a very, very dangerous game because I get that they have the offensive guru and they've been able to put up numbers with Jimmy G at quarterback, so they're feeling themselves a little bit. But yeah, at some point, that lack of being able to build your roster with later round picks, or just even being able in the draft to have a third round pick, and even if you trade back and you get 2 fifths or 2 fifths
Yeah.
and a sixth, but just having
It
that
helped.
availability,
Mhm.
yeah, to even if it's just to maneuver around the draft. So okay, we are already up against the cap, so we're going to move back and take fifth rounders, so it's a little bit less of a cap hit for us. Or we're going to try to take a shot at two guards, just positions
Yeah.
where we need depth at. Let's try to build it up from there and use late round picks, and that's when it's less of like we have to hit, because when you have only early picks, it's like, all right, these are really important picks. We saw with the Rams before they even started trading the picks, they drafted Tutu Atwell, and I believe either second or third round, and that it's kind of like you drafted a 5'7" receiver that's 140 pounds, and now look at you. You got Ben Skoranek as wide receiver number 2.
Yeah. So
I
that's
no
why.
hate to Ben Skoranek. I feel like I bring him up every podcast just to poop on him.
Oh yeah. No, I mean you kind of have a right to because it's just hasn't been good. But
I just can't believe he's literally their tight end that comes in chips on
yeah,
ends. Like I don't get how that was a game plan that anybody thought was going to work.
yeah. But that's the main premise. If I had to say, I don't think Miami has to win it this year. But to me, if they don't win it within the next 2 or 3 years, I'm gonna consider this a huge, huge failure. Just
Yeah,
because the talent that Miami has, they have the talent to win a Super Bowl. And if they don't win, to me, this takes not only a bad look on uh, the coach, it's also a really bad look on Tua because everyone's going to be like, hey, they gave you everything you needed. Now it's time for you to cash in.
step
And
it up. Yeah,
so far, he's been doing that this year. He just
yeah,
has
no
to continue
complaints.
this going on because, like we said, eventually the Bills, their talent is not going to get the best. It's not going to be the best anymore. The Chiefs, I do believe their talent is not going to be the
Yeah, because
best
they already have the
in
pieces
20
in
years.
place too. So it's not
Yeah.
even like, oh, we have 3 first round picks in the next. They already have the
No.
talent in place already. And
Mhm.
yeah, just to the point. I mean, these trades clearly
Are
moved
for
up the
win now.
timeline. Yeah, they moved up the timeline. Whatever you thought the expectations going into this year, throw that out of the window, because they are accelerating the timeline, and they
Yep.
believe that not only this year do they have a team that's built to win, but because
Next
of
year
the
and the year
coach,
after.
because of the quarterback, because of some of the younger talent that they have on the roster, they believe that they have the foundation already to continuously be a at least championship contender, or be in the mix for being a championship contender. And they do have. I mean, Jalen Phillips is a good
Solid.
yeah, he's a good young pass rusher, which is something that you're going to need if you're going to continue to build success. I love Jalen Waddle. So you already have a quarterback wide receiver connection, and
And Wilkins has to eventually get paid too.
yeah, and Wilkins is a guy that's clearly a leader in the club, in the team, and he doesn't put up the stats, but there's clearly a reason that he continues to always start, and he's always on the field. Like you never see the guy not on the field,
Yep.
regardless if it's a run situation, if it's a pass situation, he's always going to be there. And he's one of those guys that it's like he seems like you hate to play against, but you would love to have on your team because he does some of
Yeah.
that petty stuff. We don't have to get into some of the stuff that he does because sometimes it's like, bro, let's get
Yeah.
a little bit of a chill pill.
Yeah. But hey, that's exactly to the point. They accelerated timeline, so we got to see with what Miami does this year.
But it is exciting, man. As a Dolphins fan, I have to say I'm all in on the coach, the quarterback. I can't complain and say he hasn't been good this year. I just still have questions on if he's elite, and I think that can only be answered for me once we get to later in the season and when we go to Buffalo. That will be a big test for me.
And if you make the playoffs, that's what
That's
truly
their biggest
separates
test. Yeah,
the
that's the biggest test.
quarterbacks. You know who's good, and you know who's elite.
Because the thing that I still can't get over is that we had the game his rookie year in Buffalo, and I get Ryan Fitzpatrick was supposed to be the starter, and he got COVID, and it was just Tua as the only quarterback. But the Bills thought they were going to lose that game. They listed Josh Allen as a starting receiver, so in case they lost the game, it wouldn't count to his official record as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And like that, and that's just something. I get that he was a rookie. I get that the offense was not the best, and there was really no skill positions around him, but that's a tough pill to shake.
I mean, what was the final score of that game? It was bad.
Like 52-7.
Yeah, like
they beat the heck out of us.
I even forgot who was Buffalo's starting quarterback because, bro, the backup just lit him up.
Dude, Barkley came in and started. Matt Barkley started coming in and chucking it all over the field on us.
That's bad.
Yeah, that was not a good look at all.
Well, let's not revisit some painful memories for Myles, but I want to give a shout out to our sponsor before we move on to the next topic, which is E2G Sports. Again, you guys, I talked about them at the beginning. They have their brand new website up, e2gsports.com, where you guys can get all your latest news on NFL, basketball, baseball. They just released some new posts today about the World Series after yesterday. They even released some news about Kyrie. So if you guys want to go out and watch those, they're very short reads. That makes it much easier for us because we're always on the go. We're trying to keep doing things that me and Myles had to do personally because, one, we also have lives outside of this podcast. So if you guys want to do that, that's cool. And you can also listen to our podcast on their website as well. It doesn't have to be on YouTube. It could be on e2gsports.com. So if you guys want, please go visit their website. It's a lot of good material. It's very easy to maneuver, and you can get so much sports news that you cannot get anywhere else that will be as short, concise, and sweet. Because people love to ramble about a certain situation when it's like, okay, let's just be honest. They lost. They lost to that team. That team beat them. Plain simple. Like, there's no different story behind it. But now, Myles, I think we got to move on to our next topic, which is sticking with the NFL. But, guys, we got a new one this week. Which NFL rookie has caught your eye? So I'm going to let you start this off.
So, I mean, I think the obvious choice so far out of the first rounders has been Sauce Gardner. Because not only the highlights that we've seen, but he's legit come in and been one of the best players we've had out of this first round so far. And he's done it against multiple teams, experienced quarterbacks. And the thing that's actually crazy is that he is so like lanky and he moves so fluidly. Like he attacks the ball when he sees that it's coming to his area, and he's been able to shut down guys, like absolutely get after them and shut them down. And, it is kind of crazy that you take a corner at number 4 overall, but when you get immediate results like this as the Jets have gotten out of Sauce Gardner, I think it's pretty incredible what we've seen out of him. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a runaway favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I agree with that. He should be in the runaway favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go on offense, and I'm going to mention a player, but his quarterback situation is not the best. But considering his quarterback situation, I feel like he has done a very good job. And it's going to be Drake London, the number 8 overall pick in this past draft. And I feel London has done a very good job for the Falcons. He has solidified that number one spot over there as a receiver. Well, obviously, if you want to talk about terms of talent, Kyle Pitts is obviously the best player there. But in terms of wide receiver, I can't argue with what he's done considering his quarterback situation with Marcus Mariota. He has so far 30 catches, 346 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I mean, he's averaging 11 yards a catch. So can't be mad at that. And the most amount of targets he's got is 12, but most of the time he averages 7 catches. Well, 7 targets. He gets around 4 to 5 catches for about 50 yards. So I can't be mad considering the situation that he is around it, that's around him. I feel like he has done much better than what considering what we expected compared to
Yeah,
Chris Olave, who's in a much more pass-friendly offense with the
and has
same.
more weapons around him.
Yep, and Garrett Wilson with the Jets. Garrett Wilson has a much better situation around him with the Jets of having Corey Davis there as a leader, as a mentor, and a much better quarterback. If you compare Zach Wilson to Marcus Mariota, at least one is not as scared to throw the football, whereas one quarterback just simply doesn't throw it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's been definitely a pleasant surprise so far. And, just his size. His size is like you clearly see number one receiver in him right
Yeah.
away, like as soon as you watch any Falcons game. And hopefully they can kind of figure out how to unlock Pitts more because it's still a little baffling that this athletic specimen that we all know and can clearly see, even if you don't know anything about football, you're just like, who is that guy? If they can develop a 1-2 punch continuing for the Falcons, I think it would be a really cool offense. And if you can just get a slightly above average quarterback, like I think they could actually put up serious numbers. And especially when considering how weak that division is, I think that they're kind of set up for a really good for the future going forward. Just got to figure out that quarterback position. Another guy I want to give a shout out to for rookies that have caught my eyes, and I know one of the reasons we wanted to do this is because we're already we're going to go to week 9 coming up this week, right?
Yeah.
So it's about halfway through their rookie season. So not completely a full assessment on these guys, but halfway through you get to see some of the highs and lows from guys, and not to call him bust or anything, but one of the guys that I've really liked is Jack Jones, cornerback for the New England Patriots. I believe a fifth round pick. Yeah, a fifth round pick for them. 87.4 grade for PFF for Jack Jones, and over 169 snaps in coverage. He has allowed just 14 receptions and no touchdowns, while coming away with 2 pass breakups and 2 interceptions on the season. So I go 2 cornerbacks first that have really impressed me, and I also favor cornerbacks because I feel like
they play a tougher position.
I don't even get how you play the position, man. Like, how am I supposed to guess what these guys are doing? But they know where they're going and where they're going to be running, and I have no idea. Like, I have to guess.
And also the rules now benefit the receivers much more.
The whole offense, yeah.
Yep. I would say that's good. I also have a corner, and I'm going to go to Seattle. I'm going.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Tariq Woolen.
Woolen, yeah.
Woolen, yeah. I feel he has been a tremendous corner this year. So for anyone that doesn't know, obviously he plays in Seattle, so they haven't gotten that much coverage this year outside the past 2 weeks. But he has 4 picks so far. That's tied for second in the NFL. 7 pass deflections. That's tied for 11th. And he only has 22 solo tackles, but that's because they actually barely target him on the field.
And it's not even like he's got like a veteran on the other side. They're starting another rookie in Kobe Bryant on the other side. And so that's a great shout out by you. And this is one of those guys that, you see that you hear at the combine, like, oh, this guy, went absolutely crazy on the broad jump. He went crazy on the broad jump, the 3-cone drill as well. And he started getting a lot of hype based off that. And it's clearly translating to the field, not only the athleticism, but the ability to make plays. And I think he's gotten 2 or I don't know if he forced both of them, but I've seen him recover a couple of fumbles as well. So he's always making plays around the football. I just hope for his sake and Seattle's sake that DeAndre Hopkins does not go absolutely berserk on them this week, because I mean the guy has been unbelievable since he's come back this season, and I just hope that this team that hasn't really gotten the coverage that they probably should deserve based on the expectations and where they're at right now, it would be pretty crappy if everybody starts
Yeah.
talking about them this week because DeAndre Hopkins just torched them. But and that's one of the reasons I'm excited about. I'm excited about that game with Seattle and Arizona. It's because I want to see how these guys match up, and it's crazy. I'll just honestly Seattle's whole draft class because they got 2 rookies starting at tackle, and
Yep.
Gino's playing the best football of his life. So like with 2 rookies at tackle, you never hear that. 2
Yep.
rookies at tackle, that's crazy.
So that's why I really like Woolen. I think he's done a tremendous job for being not a first round pick, not a second, third, or fourth. He was a fifth round pick, late round pick, and it was we could arguably say the steal of the draft as of this point right now in the NFL season, the steal of draft in terms of value, what the pick was at, and the
Yeah,
production
and
he's giving
position
on the
value
field.
too. And position value to top it off because every team needs secondary help. No
They all
matter
need it.
no
All
matter
need
because
it.
you're always going to get injuries there. You're always going to need guys that it's next man up mentality in the NFL, and you're always going to need guys that aren't afraid to make plays, to be around the football. So yeah, definitely a
And he
solid
has great
selection by him.
size too. 6'4", 210. He
That's
has
crazy.
been I feel like he is going to be a good corner in this league for a very long time. I'm hoping he can have somewhat of a career, not the same type, but at least maybe close to Richard Sherman. If he can have somewhat of the longevity of Richard
Yeah,
Sherman in Seattle, I feel like that is a home run of a pick.
and this is that it's Pete Carroll's preference to go after the long, rangy corners. That's what he likes. So it
Hmm.
makes sense that he's already thriving even as a rookie in that system. So just honestly, shout out to Seattle's whole draft class
Yep,
to get
tremendous.
Cross in the first round, to get Lucas in the and I think the third round, and have him as a starting tackle, and then the 2 corners already starting at both cornerback positions for them. My last guy, and this is a guy that had a couple good runs last night, Damian Pierce. He
Damian Pierce
has
has been
that dog
awesome.
in him. Dog in him, bro. That he has that dog in him. He's got an 82.6 PFF grade as a rookie, which is a pretty damn good, man.
Yeah,
And
it's really good.
this doesn't count it. This doesn't factor in stats that happened last night. But going into last night's game, he had already forced 41 missed tackles.
Okay.
Second in the NFL, only behind one Nicholas Chubb.
Oh, I thought it was Saquon. I thought Saquon was probably first.
Yeah, yeah. It's Damian Pierce behind
Oh,
Nick Chubb, and you can tell by the way he runs. Like he's not one of these guys that's going to try to shake you out of his boots. He's going to
no,
try to
run
run
at
right through
you.
you. And
Yep.
I know that Derek Stingley, really high draft pick this year, was catching some flack. Because he got stiff armed to the ground by Miles Sanders, but he has probably been on the at practice has probably been on the end of Damian Pierce
Yeah.
violent finishes to run. So I'm sure he'll be able to bounce back from that one.
Yeah. But
But
no,
he's been and there was a lot
I
of
like that
fantasy hype
one.
going into him, and he's
Yep.
been able to produce, and that's on probably the worst team we have in the NFL.
Yeah. No, I have no arguments with that one. Damian Pierce has been awesome, and like you said, the fantasy hype around him was
Bro,
unbelievable.
he was going in like 4th rounds in drafts, bro.
Yeah. And it didn't start off great at the beginning of the season, but it
Yeah,
really progressed
the last few
late.
weeks he's been crazy.
Yeah, he's been producing lately, so credit to anyone who, they took that risk and got him around that fourth round, fifth round, whatever round you got him. Who knows? Maybe if you got him in the second round, kudos to you. I don't know why you did it, but it's just been a great year for Damian Pierce, and he might sneak into like a first round pick next year. He might
I
sneak
mean,
in.
he's got 600. I know that not everybody's played, and he's got the one extra game having played on Thursday, but he's got 678 yards, which is 4th in the NFL this year on 148 carries, 4th in the NFL. So he's evening out. It's not like he's just a huge volume guy
Yeah,
that's only getting 2.5 yards per carry. Like he's actually balling for a team that's just not very good. He's at 4.6 yards per carry so far. 678 yards in 7 games is pretty crazy.
yep. It's crazy, man. Well, guys, we will go into our last topic of the day. We got to talk about some fantasy football updates. So, for anyone that's wondering, in our E2G league, currently at this moment, we are 4-4. We're in 6th place in our division, which isn't bad. But I like our team. The Saints, they're playing against Baltimore. Baltimore has played a little bit better on defense, but we do have we have a lot of solid depth pieces now, and we have Tyreek Hill playing this week against Chicago.
Should
We
get
have
a big
Mike
game.
we have Mike Evans against the Rams. Hopefully, he can play and produce. We also have Isaiah McKenzie starting this week over Jared Judy, and Isaiah McKenzie is facing the Jets, so do with that uh with what you want. But I think we have a solid chance. I mean, our opponent yesterday didn't have anyone playing, so it benefits us on that part.
Yeah, the thing I'm looking for to most in that league is if we can just get above 500, honestly, because I'm glad that we scratched and clawed our way back to 500 at 4-4. But I'm trying to stay in. I'm trying to stay a game above 500, even if it's 9-8, whatever the case may be. I think we have enough pieces to put together. It's just that you got to get at least in this league, you have to get to at least 160, 170 to even have a shot at winning. And last week, me and you were texting because our projections at one point had us getting almost to 200 points, and then it fell down to 198. We finished just shy of 200, so was very proud of the team and the boys for putting 305 takes on their back last week and getting us back to 500. That's what two good fantasy managers do. They
Yeah.
find out the weaknesses and they answer back.
And for any of you guys who are wondering the division, there are currently 3 teams 5-3 and 3 teams 4-4. So we're not out of it. We're right there. Like we can sneakily win the division, but that's a whole nother topic for a different
Yeah.
day. But I
I
do
made a
want
trade in another league. Let me think. Let me hear what you think about it. I traded Michael Carter and Deontay Johnson for Devontae Smith. It wasn't my favorite move, but I had to. My next week, I have T Higgins, and he's on a bye,
on the
and I just
buy.
didn't. Yeah, I
Okay.
just didn't want to have to rely on Deontay putting up points for me. So I went ahead and did a 2-for-1 for Devontae, and I'm not a huge fan of the trade. I just
You
wanted
wanted
somebody that I
depth.
thought. Yeah, I wanted somebody that might have some boom potential for me at that wide receiver spot because I have Waddle. Waddle's going to stay in the receiver spot for me moving forward. I don't know if I'm just buying the hype too much. I was number one in waivers this week, and my waiver claim was one Justin Fields. Mainly, again, a play on going forward with the bye week. So I'm not going to start him this week. I have Lamar starting. Next week, Lamar's on the bye, and the Lions are going against – I mean, the Bears are going against the Lions. So I figure he's got – I mean, bro, that Lions defense was one of the worst defenses I've seen all year. So I
Yeah,
figure he's got to be able to put up points. So that was more of a play of, trying to be able to maximize my points with Lamar being out.
that's fair. But so now I will transition back to the league me and Miles are both playing in. So
I'm going
for
to
everyone
lose
that
this week.
yep, everyone this week, uh, we have and me, Miles, we're in the same division. Him and Alex are tied at 6-2. I'm right behind them at 4-4. And then we have another team 3-5, and the last team is 1-7. And then in the other division, that one's really close. Peter is leading 6-2. Dom is right behind him at 5-3. You have JP and Nick at 4-4, and then Moyes 1-7. So, but here's some of the matchups this week. So, if you guys haven't heard before, the top 3 teams in scoring in this league are in the exact order: Alex, me, and Miles. We are the top 3 scoring teams in fantasy, and the top 2 scoring teams face each other this week. I'm facing Alex.
That's tough.
Bro,
That's
it's
super
it,
tough.
it is tough. I'm like, oh
And
my gosh.
just hear this, audience. These guys, it was only Monday, it was only Thursday night football. These guys both had 2 players play each. The score is 25-23. Like it's going to be a dogfight between you guys the rest of this week. If it's already Thursday and you guys both had 2 players play on both sides and you're still that close, I'm like, I think I'm losing this week in that league. But you definitely have a tough matchup. I have Ryan's team, who I don't understand really how he's 1-7 compared to his team. I mean, I can see that having Zay Jones as your flex is not probably
Yeah.
probably not the most ideal situation. And I can see Allen Robinson and Tom Brady definitely put up stinkers this year. So I can see, just maybe running into a bad matchup, but I fully expect to lose this week. So he had one player go this week, which was
Miles
Miles
Sanders,
Sanders, put up 15. I had Goddard, who had a great
24.
game, honestly. Yeah, 100-yard receiving and a touchdown, but it's Devontae Smith only putting up 4 in my flex. That's the only reason I feel like I'm losing, because I know that Lockett or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I feel like is going to have a big game, and that number is just going to be sitting on my bench.
Yeah. And I know I'm not saying this like for sure. I'm just saying this from my heart. I'm pretty sure Miles wants me to win, so that way if Miles does win, he has the number 1 seed.
That would be nice. I'm always rooting for Alex to lose when we're tied. Always.
But then I'm like, oh man, like I know I need this win because if I don't, I'm 4-5, and then I'll need JP and then Nick to lose also. I would basically need like all the top teams to lose and all the bottom teams to win, so that way I'm not out of it. But man, like I gotta be honest with you, bro. Like before, like around the beginning, it was easy to make the trades. Now it's really hard to make the trades because now there's so many teams that can make the playoffs, so they're like, nah, man, I gotta do this. Like this is what's gonna help me win, which I get completely.
I have one pending in this league that I don't think I'm going to accept, but it's just like Edwin sent me a trade. It's I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He wants him from me for Devin Singletary, which I don't think is I don't think it's unfair at all value wise, just because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is very touchdown independent, but
Mhm.
I just don't know how much of a factor Naheem Hines is going to play, or how much of a factor Cook's going to start playing as they go down the stretch. I mean, he had that big catch and run against the Packers on Sunday Night Football, and with them moving Zach Moss out of the way, I feel like that kind of opens up some more room for Cook to start getting more involved. I just don't know what the Naheem Hines X factor is, so for that reason, I'm going to stay away from that one, just because I feel like even though Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still not the best at football, I would say, honestly. And they have Pacheco, who we all kind of know that they like. He's still kind of that alpha dog, at
Yeah.
least for now.
I mean, I got a trade yesterday from Nick. He offered me TJ Hawkinson and Juju
Newest Viking, yeah.
for Aaron Jones, and I was tempted to take it. The only thing I have to see how TJ looks in this Vikings offense. I
I mean, he
need,
should be able to be open. With the
but
fact that
my
it's
only
Thielen and
thing is
Jefferson outside, yeah.
Kirk Cousins has such chemistry with Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. It's like, all right, I already know how hard it is for you to get the football because I see it here in Miami.
Yeah.
Tua, 4 speeds, Tyreek Hill, which he should, and then he has that connection with Jalen Waddle. Mike Gesicki barely gets any targets. He barely gets targets. You read the stats to me the other day, so I was like, oh man, that's tough for Gesicki. So that's where I'm kind of leaning forward on. But I mean, to be honest, if there's certain players I would like for trade, honestly, I mean, if you would want to talk, because I know you love Ramondre and I love Kenneth Walker, so I'd be down to talk about something like that.
My thing is, I just love Kenneth. I love Kenneth. I'm in
Yeah,
love with that Seahawks team, honestly.
but Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, I am in love with the Ramondre. The thing is, I just don't know if they're going to start incorporating Damian Harris back, because I just don't know. I mean, I guess because they don't have any draft picks, but like, how do the Rams not make a move for Damian Harris? Like, that's my thing. So I feel
That's
like
a good question, actually.
I mean, I thought all signs point into that. That's honestly what I was waiting for the whole time, was that Damian Harris would be moved to the Rams, because.
But I think Ramondre is going to stay starting because
Yeah,
Bill Belichick
I mean, he's
usually
just
writes
good.
a hot hand at running back.
And he's just good. He's flat out a pretty good running back, honestly. And he makes people miss. He can play in both the running game and the passing game if you need an option there. So and that Patriots offense still does kind of scare me because you are still having to rely on Mr. No Separation, Devontae Parker, and whoever they throw out there at tight end. Because I mean, is Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith like, are they just like, yeah, we got paid, bro, we don't care?
I don't know about that Patriots offense, but
Yeah, so
before
that's
we
what
go,
scares me a little bit. But we know that they're going to try to run the ball all the time.
yeah. But before we go, I want to know something. So this will just be, I'll clip this. Maybe I'll send it in fantasy group chat. If you win, what are you gonna do with the money?
Tyreek Hill, Aqua throwback jersey.
That's what you'll buy.
Either Hill or Waddle. But I've told you my dilemma with Waddle. I
Yeah,
already have a 17 Ryan Tannehill, and it's like, am I
yeah.
ever going to escape that 17th Dolphins jersey? And I just love the throwback Aqua jerseys. I love the throwback Aqua jerseys so much. So I definitely want to get my hands on one of those. Or, I mean, maybe if the Dolphins are still in the playoffs, I use that to try to get myself into a Dolphins playoff game. Maybe,
Maybe that wouldn't be
depending
bad.
on how much the tickets are.
That's not a bad
Because at
idea.
least the fantasy winnings could either go to my plane ticket if I have to fly out somewhere, or pay a percentage of how much the playoff ticket costs.
I mean, that would help. The fantasy winnings would help out, but that's not bad. Mine's I haven't truly thought about what my big prize would be, but I thought of just like one small prize that would cost like nothing. I'm gonna surprise someone in this league. I'm gonna buy a those license plate covers that they put on the
Yeah,
back. I'm gonna
yeah.
buy one that says I suck at fantasy football, and I'm gonna send it to someone. They won't know who yet, but someone in this league is gonna get that from me, and I'm gonna send it to them. I'll be like, hey man, what's your address? I bought you a gift, this and that. And no, it could be anything. Who knows? I could buy someone like maybe a signed football from somewhere. I'll be like, hey, because of you, because of this trade I won, here's a signed football from someone. Or it could be that license plate. They don't know what's gonna
or
happen.
it would be a cameo. If you bought a cameo from an NFL player and be like, hey, like use me for example, hey Myles, Angel sent me this, and I just heard you suck at fantasy football.
Oh my gosh. And imagine if it's Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill that does it. You
And,
would be
and,
like, wait, hold up.
and it would be hilarious if like they had like whoever you buy the cameo of like had a big game against their team, and she'd be like, dude, why didn't you draft me? Why?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I had to do it to you. Don't take it personal. It would have been anybody.
But that's what I was thinking. Or do I just buy it and say for next year in the league when everyone plays, it's like the loser, your punishment. You have to have that license plate for a whole year.
I like that, the license plate for the whole year. I suck at fantasy football. Or
And just
honk if you think I suck at fantasy football would be a good one. And they're just constantly
and they have to wear it until the season ends next year.
until the person next year has to get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and then you just
That
trade
would
it
be
off.
something, but if not, I'm like, I'll just buy it for someone. It's like, hey man, I got you a gift. Here it is. Next thing you know, they get it. It's like I suck at fantasy football.
Too bad it's well, and because we might not all be in the same state. Because I was gonna say, imagine if you actually got like a license plate and you could do like the letter IH8 fantasy
Yeah.
football, but that's too many letters.
Yeah, too many letters. But that's something I thought. And then for big prize, oh man.
It's
Honestly,
tough.
I,
It's
I
tough
don't
to
know if I should
decide.
just use the money recklessly and just say everyone, I go because of you guys, I got the trophy, but now I bought an even bigger trophy just to say I got
Just to give to myself.
to give to myself because of all of your money. That could be something, or generally I would be like, all right, I'm gonna buy like signed merchandise like crazy. I'll be like, all right, cool, I got this. I'm gonna buy it on this. Or like eventually, who knows, I might buy a plane ticket and I'll probably go to Vegas and just like during Super Bowl weekend and just bet
And
like
go to
crazy.
one of those places and have all the TVs on everything. That would be dope.
I'm just gonna bet like crazy with that money.
That would
I'll
be
be like,
dope.
hey, because of you guys, these are all my betting tickets, and then I just like pour them all down.
Yeah, try to double up your money. Be like, dude, I got even richer.
That's something. I
Thank
mean,
you guys. I got even richer without even having to risk any of my own money. Thank you guys.
yeah, because bro, rooms in hotel rooms in Vegas, they're so cheap. You could find one for less than $20 a night.
Sheesh.
So I'm like, hey, so that's what I don't know. That's maybe something I was thinking of with the money, but we'll see. Who knows? I might bring maybe someone we might bring someone on here next week and ask them, hey, what would you do if you have the money? And
Yeah,
next thing you know, they tell us.
it would be interesting, and I want to know some of the ideas that people have. The first one that came to my head was to try to get a jersey.
Yeah. I mean, I just saw it because I saw a picture last year of someone that's had like that license plate cover and said, I suck at fantasy football. So I was like, oh my gosh, this would be a great gift for someone, but I need to know who can I send this to without them like wanting them to like get
Yeah,
back at me.
yeah. But it's all fun and games.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games.
I mean, who knows? Maybe the person watching this right now, whoever he is, just note, I might send it to you. You don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? I might even buy you a gift. I
That'd be
actually might buy you
hilarious.
a nice gift. Who knows?
That
Maybe
would be
someone in here
hilarious.
gets a Javon Holland signed football or something. It'll be that,
That would be cool. That
or
would
it'll be a
super cool.
license plate that says I suck at fantasy football. And then next thing you know, it's like, hey,
That'd be
I got you
hilarious.
something for your car. It's a great accessory.
That would be funny. That'd be a good one. And they
Man, I
have to
could just
drive around with it
imagine.
for a year.
Imagine once I clip this and I put it in the group chat, they're just gonna be like, oh, okay.
People are going to start coming up with some crazy ideas. Then that's when the real creative juices will start going. Once they know that we can start bothering each other, they're going to be like, all right, what's the most diabolical thing I can do?
Huh, we'll see. Or if not, I'll just be like that one person. Let me see. I know Alex hates the Seahawks, so I probably might buy him like a Seahawks jersey of a player I know he just absolutely despises. And I'll be
Yeah,
like,
but the only thing then is that he could just turn around and sell it.
yeah, he could turn around and
That's
tell
the
you.
only thing. And then he kind of wins in that situation.
Yeah, that would be the only thing. So it is what it is. But guys, this was fun. We are going to be back next week, Monday at 2:30, Friday at 3:00. If you guys want to come on, talk fantasy football with us, talk about football or anything, we are all cool with that. The only reason today we did not talk about Kyrie because we are not an NBA podcast. If we were, we would have addressed it. If you guys want to know our opinions on it, feel free to DM us on Instagram or anywhere. We'll give you our thoughts. We can't say too much because basically what's done is done. We've seen what's happened. We know what the NBA is going to do. We know what Brooklyn has done. It is what it is right as of this point. But we look forward to coming back on next week, talking about football, talking about fantasy football and our status. And who knows, we might even have a guest on Monday or Friday to talk more about fantasy football, maybe trash talk in our own fantasy league. So we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.